Right. Okay, hello everybody, welcome. I'm going to try and do this tutorial quickly because I've only got like 29 minutes on the camera. So what I'm going to be doing today is we're going to be going through how I make textures for actual detail in the mesh, and how I might use this same sort of technique for using textures to create I don't know, tattoos or scars or anything like that. We're going to use a tattoo as an example. We're going to be using alphas to do that. So I'm going to show you how to make the alphas and how to get them into Nomad sculpt. So let's open this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some skin textures open. Let's actually reopen these so I know I've got them all. So let's open. Let's go 1, 2, 3 skin textures that I've downloaded. These are actually just images, close-up images of skin. And let's open up Mikey's tattoo. So that is in downloads, I believe. Mikey's tattoo. Okay. Right, so the first thing you need to know is that inside of Nomad, the black on this image is going to represent the low points, and the white is going to represent the high points. So with that being said, if we come over to our folder, and it should probably be a square. It doesn't have to be a square, but it's going to be a square inside of Nomad. So you could have a rectangle in here. I've done it with like cyberpunk text that I used on a model. But it will read as a square. So if you want to get like a crisp image, then use a square and fill the space, and also have a decent resolution on your file, because 500 by 500 is fine for some things, but it's not very many pixels. So if you try and get close or enlarge the texture too much on the model, it's going to become pixelated. So let's get into it, because like I said, we don't have much time. So let's copy this layer. We'll close that because we don't need it. And we will come in here and we'll paste this guy. There we go. So again, like I said, this is because the background's white. It's going to look a bit strange. So it's going to be like the white's going to be extruded, and this is going to be sunken in. Now you can invert this inside of Nomad, but I think it just makes a bit more sense to have it prepped the way that it's meant to be before you take it in. Another thing that I would say is that for some things, like the skin texture we're going to do, I would probably have a soft edge on this, so you get a nice fall off, and you don't get hard edges on the edges of the texture. But I don't think it matters for this. So we're going to quickly, where are we? Filter, adjust. We're going to invert the colors on this, so this will now go white. We're going to come to the layers, and below it I've put a black layer which will switch on, and that's going to be perfect for our tattoo on Mikey. So let's save that. Save as a JPEG, sorry, a PNG, and we'll call this Mikey Tat. Okay, so we've got Mikey's tattoo. Let's go ahead and make some skin textures. So let's grab one of these. Which one do we think? This one's kind of nice. Let's copy this. Close that down. We'll go back to our document that we've got for creating these alphas, and we'll paste it in here. We need to scale this up to fit the square. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to turn this into a black and white image. So the best way to do this is going to be to add a layer above it. We'll fill it with black. Yep. And then what you want to do is you want to come to the layers. So you've got blending options in most 2D softwares, and you're going to want to change this to saturation, and that's going to, there you go, it's going to turn it into a nice black and white image. So I'm wondering if we duplicate this layer, get it slightly darker. No, because it won't work. Okay, so let's undo that. So we've got our black and white image. Now what I said of earlier is that because black is the low points and white is the high points, we're going to end up with a hard edge here because we've got some pretty light grey. So what you're going to want to do is we'll add another layer. We'll fill this with black again. And then we're going to need to come in with a soft erase brush. Crank that up. And we're going to want to like, there we go. We're going to want to create a soft fall off for it. And that kind of looks pretty nice. The trouble is going to be, if we get too close to the edges, they're like there, look, okay? So I want to try and make it feel like it's using as much of the texture as I can. So what I've done here is I've gone too close to the edge. So if you look up here again, you'll see that there's this, where it's kind of grey and it's not truly black along the edges. So what we'll do is we'll go to a soft spray brush with a black on it, and we'll add in some of that soft edge again. That might be a bit much. Let's go back. We're going to do the same down this edge. We'll do the same across the bottom edge. And we'll do the same down this edge. So there we go. So we've got a kind of like a soft fall off and a nice skin looking texture here. So let's save that. Save as, let's call that, how many skins have we got? Skin 6. Let's call this skin 7. Alright, there you go. So skin 7 PNG into the alphas folder. Let's leave it at that for now. Well, I mean, we could do more because we've got everything set up. So look, we can quickly do it. Let's copy this layer. We'll close that because we don't need it anymore. Go back to our base layer, and below this, so because this is already set to a saturation, we can drop in a fresh one, paste layer, and you see it adds it there. So we need to quickly scale that up. Sorry, that's probably my girlfriend texting. We need to quickly scale that up to fill the space. And there we go, boom, a second skin texture. It's not super high quality. Again, if you spend a bit more time over this, you can probably find higher quality images, but I just grabbed a few that looked pretty nice off of the internet. So let's call this one skin 8. Skin 8, and that will do for now. So we'll save this document as a Krita document because we don't want to lose any work we've done, and we'll go back to calling it alpha base. Save that, and we can close this up. Okay, so what we got? 8 minutes. Okay, so let's close this, and we'll go over to Nomad sculpt. So what we're going to do inside of Nomad sculpt is let's do the tattoo first. Sorry, I have to turn that on. So right, let's quickly do the tattoo first. So we need to select my key, and we're going to want to use the paint for this, the paintbrush. So if we grab the paintbrush, we're going to need to change a few settings in the brush. So we need to set this to lock radius so that we can just drag it out like one whole thing. We're going to add the alpha, which we'll probably need to import. So where was it? Mikey Tat. Open that up, and boom, there's our alpha inside of it, and you can see it there. You can tile this and do other stuff, but I think again it's not necessary for what we're trying to do. So are we good to go? So what we're going to want to do quickly is we're going to select Mikey. We're going to add a separate layer because we don't want to destroy or we want to do. We want the least destructive workflow that we can possibly have. So adding this on a separate layer means that if I need to make any changes, I'm not going to affect all of this detail that I've already added to my model. So let's get into this and add let's see what color we are. Oh, so I think we're going to go somewhere like here because tattoos aren't actually pure black once they've been on you for a while. And plus he's going to have green skin underneath him. So I think that this would be a closer sort of approximation of what his tattoo might look like. And there you go. Mikey's tattoo. It's kind of low quality. You could probably clean this up a little. Let's undo that. I want to add it lower and closer to the front because I want more of it to affect his arm, his lower arm and his shoulder. That's a bit too low. So again, bit of trial and error, bit of practice, you know, like have a few spins at it. I'm going to go a little higher because I want the arch of it to go over his shoulder here, look. That's kind of not bad, maybe a little higher. Let's go about here. That's kind of good, I like that. So there's Mikey's tattoo, and it hasn't affected anything underneath it. And what that means now is that we can change the opacity to make it feel more like a tattoo is under the skin. And there we go. Tattoo for Mikey. I'll redo this. I won't leave this on here like this for now because again, this will be something I add later when I'm painting. But that's just to give you an idea of how we might do something like that. So let's use the what we just had. Let's go to the body again. We're on the body. We want to come back off the layer because I want to work on the base again where all of the texture is. And we're going to use the stamp tool to add some skin texture and creases to the back of his leg. What's the time? 12 minutes. Right. So we've got about another 15 minutes-ish. Let's get this going. So we're on the stamp tool. We are on screen. This is already set up for what we need. Let's add a skin texture. So let's import one of these new skin textures. What was it? 7 and 8? Skin 5, 6. 7 and 8. There we go. So let's add that one. That one. Let's come down. Where are we? That was one of them. I'm going to see how this looks, and we'll see how it sort of feels on the back of the legs. We need to reduce this down. If you look over here while I'm bringing this down, you'll see that that's going to go. Now, because this is a skin texture, you really don't want it to be like cranked up here. That's ridiculous. That would be more like slashes and scratches in the skin. So we want this to only affect it like a little bit. And I'm going to try and use this across the back of the knee and see how it looks. I do have other skin textures that I've been using anyway. So let's just see how this feels. Okay, so I think we need to... Oh, another thing is you need the detail in place for this, right? So I think we'll add Dino Topology. This is already cranked up pretty high. And let's see how it looks. Yeah, I mean, you can see it, it's just not really affecting it a lot. Let's add a tiny bit more depth to that. There we go. So you can see how it's adding the texture to the skin. It looks nice and creased. It actually looks like skin. Let's try a different one though. I mean, again, these are only examples that we're using here. So if we go back over to our skin textures, let's have a go with this other one we made. I mean, that feels a bit strange. Let's see what happens if we invert that. Oh, yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. Okay, but I mean, you know, it's a bit hit and miss. You're going to have to try things out. So let's go to some skin textures that I know work well. Let's try this guy. So here we go. So again, these work a little better. We'll need to invert that because I think we inverted it. Yeah, there we go. Why is it doing that now? Okay, let's choose a different one. God damn. Let's have this boy here. Okay, so that feels a bit better. I'm hoping that it's not. I think it's because we've got too much height on it. Okay, maybe this is because we're on the stamp tool. Let's try and add this real quick. How long we got? Another 10 minutes. Let's try and add this real quick to a brush instead. So I think the stamp tool's a lot more precise. You'll probably need to... we can work on the fall off. Let's see if it's because of the fall off. Yeah, we want this flat, I think. Let's go flat. That seems better. Yeah, so the problem was the fall off. We had it was going to the edge and then dropping off, which means that you're going to end up with that shape in the actual texture. Let's crank this up a tiny bit. There we go. So you can use it to add. There's a little bit going on here, but like you can come in and smooth some of that out if you need to. But you know, you get the idea. We're just going to want to use this to add some skin texture to his body. You can also do it. We'll quickly do this because I think it'll be good to show you. So if we go over to the clay brush, we're going to come in here and we're going to change some settings. So you're going to want to, because it's normally on dot, which means that it's drawing a line. That's actually just doing like hundreds of dots really, really close together. So if we come over to here and change it to lock radius, which means we can pull this out like we said before. We'll change the alpha to something that we know was working. Something like this one, which is not bad. I think that's a little bit high on the pressure, on the intensity. So you can see it sort of shrinking down in here. So what I'm trying to do quickly while I'm here is add some sort of like vertical creases to the back of his knee. You know what? Let's increase the intensity just a tiny bit more, just so that we can see it going down. And there we go, we have some creases on the back of his knee that actually look okay. Let's add some around here, because there's crease that's going to be creasing here. A bit around the front here. So I'm rotating it to try and get it to kind of follow the edge a little bit here. But there's some creasing where I think it should go. Now let's go back over to the skin texture and we'll add some actual sort of like skin texture to the whole thing. So let's have a look, see. We have got quite a bit of pressure on the skin there, so let's keep... And that looks pretty good. I'm kind of happy with how this is coming out. You do have to be careful because, like I said, despite the things that we've done on the setup, we're still getting some edges that are sort of, creating this sort of like bump on the edge here. So let's go and add a few more of these to get the texture going around it. And then I'm going to add some larger scales for the larger areas, or the areas that look like there'd probably be a bit more wear. Like if he didn't have a knee pad on, I'd probably put some larger scales there like he's got on his shoulder here, just to, you know, indicate that that skin's a bit tougher and a bit more worn, you know. How long we got? 20 minutes. Let's try that. How was that? There we go, some larger scales. Let's actually use the stamp tool for this, because I think the stamp tool does a clearer and sort of deeper. There we go, yeah. Okay, so what I want is around the back of the leg where his muscles are here. We're going to go a little bit more detail, and a little bit more scaly, like, you know, like turtles do, you know, around the harder wearing parts of their body. They'll probably be a bit more scaly. Let's add another one down here. And then we'll do some finer detail down here. I think we'll add some smaller ones around here, just so that it doesn't just fall off into nothing around the edges. She might try and call me back in a minute. Let's have a look, see what we got. So let's just add some finer details. I mean, these aren't bad. So I'm adding some more like lizard type flesh, or like imagine turtle like flesh, because it's got some more of these dots on it and stuff like that. So we're just going to go over some of this with it and sort of try and blend it a little. Just some areas. Pull it out to different sizes, just so that you can see it blends a little here, you know, and here particularly as well, where we're probably going to see. And I think that's not bad. We might add one here. Now I'm going to work on the ankle quickly. I want to put some creases here. How long we got? 22 minutes. Probably got a few minutes. I mean, even this, so we'll. You know what? Let's call it there, because you get the idea. So if we've sort of added some detail to his leg, it looks pretty good. We'll add some more up here in a minute when we get to it. But that's essentially how you use alphas, how you make some alphas quickly, and how you add them to your scene for detail. You can have a look at the top of his head. We've got some decent alphas on there, so I've already done some of this. So yeah, you know, it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I hope you found this helpful. It's just a quick one, like I said, to explain how I do these types of things. So yeah, thank you very much everybody for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Happy sculpting.